In 1917, a teenage girl walked into a factory in Orange, New Jersey, and was handed the best job a young woman could ask for at the time. Good pay, steady hours, and a strange, beautiful little perk. When she went home at night, her hair, her skin, even her clothes, glowed in the dark. The other girls called themselves the Ghost Girls. They had no idea the glow was killing them. Her name was Grace Fryer. She was one of hundreds of young women hired to paint watch dials, clocks, and military instruments with a radioactive paint called Undark, radium mixed with glow-in-the-dark phosphor. It was wartime. Glowing dials meant soldiers could read their watches in the trenches at night. This wasn't some shady backstreet operation. It was patriotic work, and radium itself was marketed everywhere as a miracle substance. Tonics, toothpaste, cosmetics. People believed it cured fatigue, boosted vitality, even fought cancer. So when supervisors taught the women a simple trick to keep their paintbrush tips fine and precise, lip, dip, paint, touch the brush to your lips, dip it in the radium paste, paint the numbers, nobody blinked. They were told it was harmless. Some women even painted their nails with it for fun, just to see them glow at parties. They were doing this dozens of times a day, every shift, for years. The company's own chemists knew better. The men handling raw radium used lead screens, ivory-tipped tongs, protective masks. The women got none of that. They were the only ones in the building unprotected, and the only ones putting it in their mouths. By the early 1920s, the women started getting sick. Not with a cold or a flu, with something nobody could explain. Their teeth fell out. Their jaws crumbled. A horrifying condition doctors started calling radium jaw. Their bones fractured for no reason. Some women's legs simply gave out beneath them while walking. The company's response? They blamed syphilis. They blamed bad hygiene. They told the press the women were lying, or sick from something else entirely. Anything but the radium. But the symptoms kept lining up, and one of the company's own chemists died the same way. Grace Fryer spent 2 years searching for a lawyer willing to take on a major US corporation. Nearly every attorney turned her down. The case looked unwinnable. There was no legal precedent for an employer being held responsible for slowly poisoning its own staff over years, and the statute of limitations had already run out for some of the women because radium poisoning took so long to show. In 1927, lawyer Raymond Berry finally took the case. Grace and 4 other dying women became the center of a court battle that made front-page news across the country. By the time the case was heard, the women had been given months to live. They settled out of court in 1928, not because they'd lost, but because none of them had time left to wait for a verdict. The damage was already public. Newspapers called them the living dead. The horror of their case spread to factories in Illinois and Connecticut, where women fought the same battle all over again, some for another decade. What the Radium Girls won wasn't just compensation. It was the legal idea that companies are responsible for what they do to the people working for them, a principle that, eventually, helped build the foundation for workplace safety laws still in place today. They didn't live to see most of it. But the next time a factory worker clocks out and goes home in one piece, that's part of what they paid for.